ಇಂದಿನ ಯುವ ಸಮೂಹವೇ ದೇಶದ ಮುಂದಿನ ಆಸ್ತಿ ಎನ್ನುವುದು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ತಿಳಿದಿರುವ ವಿಚಾರ. ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಯುವ ಸಮೂಹವೇ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿರುವ ಭಾರತದಲ್ಲಂತೂ ದೇಶದ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಯುವ ಜನತೆಯ ಪಾತ್ರ ಮಹತ್ವದ್ದು. ಇಂತಹ ಯುವ ಜನತೆಯಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಚಿಂತನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಹೊರತೆಗೆಯುವಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹಕಾರಿಯಾಗುವುದು ಡಿಬೇಟ್ಗಳು, ಅಂದರೆ ಚರ್ಚಾ ಸ್ಪರ್ಧೆಗಳು. ಇಂತಹ ಒಂದು ವೇದಿಕೆಯನ್ನ ಭಾರತದ ಪ್ರಮುಖ ದಿನಪತ್ರಿಕೆ ದಿ ಹಿಂದೂ ಒದಗಿಸಿತ್ತು. ಹೌದು, ಮೂಡಬಿದ್ರೆ ಆಳ್ವಾಸ್ ವಿದ್ಯಾಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ಆಳ್ವಾಸ್ ರೋಸ್ಟ್ ರೂಮ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ಸಹಯೋಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಎನ್ನುವ ಡಿಬೇಟ್ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಅನ್ನು ಹಮ್ಮಿಕೊಳ್ಳಲಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಝಲಕನ್ನ ನೋಡೋಣ ಇಂದಿನ ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ. ಇದೇ ಹೊತ್ತಿನ ವಿಶೇಷ. ನಾನು ಕವಿತಾ ಮಾಣಿ.
ಏಕದಂತಂ ಉಪಾಸ್ಮಹೇ ಶುಭಂ ಕುರುತ್ವಂ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ.
But you are saying that your attitude has not changed.
Are we sure that everybody in the nation has changed the attitude?
99.99. That's the impact that Swachh
But there
Bharat
are
Abhiyan has done.
there are certain people out there still not ready to let go out the waste or throw the waste in the dustbin.
If you want to feed a person for a day, you give him the fish. Yes. And if you want to feed him for the lifetime, you tell him how to catch a fish.
ಮೂಡಬಿದ್ರೆಯ ಆಳ್ವಾಸ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನಲ್ಲಿ ದಿ ಹಿಂದೂ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಮತ್ತು ಆಳ್ವಾಸ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ಗಳ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ರೋಸ್ಟ್ ರೂಮ್ ಇದರ ಸಹಯೋಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಎನ್ನುವ ಅಂತರ್ ಕಾಲೇಜು ಝೋನಲ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಡಿಬೇಟ್ ಕಾಂಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ನಡೆಯಿತು. ಮೂಡಬಿದ್ರೆಯ ಆಳ್ವಾಸ್ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಕಾಲೇಜು ಆವರಣದಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆದ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣ ವಿವರ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ.
Alvas Education Foundation has provided a platform for students as an apt avenue for public speaking, to listen to great speakers clarify their thoughts and dispel the doubts directly from the experts on prevalent social, economic and political topics. Rostrum also gives a chance to its student members to hold panel discussions on topics that delve into politics, issues affecting communities and academic topics. Previously, speakers of national and international repute have addressed at Rostrum with topics of varied interest. We were indeed lucky to have prominent speakers like Dr. Subramanian Swamy, Mr. Mani Shankar Iyer, Gaur Gopal Das and many more. And today we are indeed delighted to organize Last Man Stand Intercollegiate Zonal Level Debate Contest by the Hindu Group for the third consecutive year, with the previous 2 years in state level. Like the sunshine that brings life on earth, spreading prosperity to the land and umpteen blessings, any effort can become fruitful with the presence of God. I now call upon Mother Shri Bhatt to bring down bliss and prosperity through a prayer song.
Gajanana Padmarkam Gajanana Maharnisham Anikadantam Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahe Gajavadana Gananatha Natha Gajavadana Gananatha Natha Gaurivara Tanaya Gunalaya Gaurivara Tanaya Gunalaya Gajavadana Gananatha Natha Vidyadayaka Buddhi Pradayaka Vidyadayaka Buddhi Pradayaka Siddhi Vinayaka He Shubhadayaka Siddhi Vinayaka He Shubhadayaka Gajavadana Gananatha Natha Gaurivara Tanaya Gunalaya गजवदना गणनाथ नाथ.
It's time we come together, join hands, shun the darkness of ignorances and ignite the world with light, hope and knowledge. I now request Mr. A.M. Khan and other dignitaries to light the lamp and inaugurate Last Man Stand.
शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपो हरतु मे पापं सन्ध्यादीपनमोऽस्तु ते.
Just like an open door that welcomes the being, an open heart with seasoned words rejuvenates the spirit, revives the mind and refreshes the body. Last Man Stand is one of the most awaited programs of the year, and finally we are witnessing a new idea of coming together to participate, compete and win. I would now call upon Dr. Kurian to give the introductory note.
All the competitors, debaters rather, and all the members of Rostrum. Began in 2011. Rostrum was a very initiative and a very kind of different kind of platform, where students could identify, students can stand and students can think and try to assimilate the ideas in such a way that it go with education. It's a different idea. It's not a rare forum where you find that a lot of forums exist in any college, but this is a forum which is completely managed by students. And as you heard the MC speaking to you, we had speakers all across the different ideologies. It could be a debate on talak, or it would have been a speech by Subramanian Swami or Manishankar Iyer, or it could have been a speech on HIV/AIDS. It could be Kiran Kumar sir coming and speaking on space. So the importance of the whole kind of activity is that we are open. A person and an institute or an organization should will and can grow only when it is open. So being open is not easy. Often we think it is very easy, but we find it very difficult when it comes to the matters of decisions. Say, of course, when Gaur Gopal Das came and spoke to our students, around 5,000 of them, it was a fantastic session. But there were opposition within the Rostrum group, whether ESP brought. That opposition, discussion and decision regarding bringing a person, listening to him and after winding up is the real process of growth. It is not the person who comes and speak, but the whole process of organization which takes place among the student is a great idea. Probably debate is the most civilized platform to agree to disagree. Probably the most difficult thing in the world is to agree to disagree, because all of us would see the things from our viewpoint, rather the modified given viewpoints to us. So whether it is your viewpoint, I think so, would be the answer. So probably Hindu is coming back to Rostrum for the second time for the same program, debate competition among the students. Probably, I believe, the debaters are the one who are really courageous, because they can understand, tolerate, and with that tolerance assimilate all the ideas together and try to regenerate, germinate, or probably redirect the ideas that I have. It's a great process of growth. Reading newspaper should lead to more discussions and more assimilation of idea. That is what Hindu is demonstrating. I congratulate and thank Hindu group for being so kind enough to be associated with the Rostrum and Alvas Education Foundation. I am very happy that our registrar Khan sir has come today. Probably is the one who is most associated to Alvas Education Foundation and Alvas College, as well as a nice registrar, a great academician who guides the things and with a proper perspective. I am thankful to him, and I am thankful to all the leaders of Hindu group who have come here. I am thankful to all the students who have come as participants. Debate with all your whole heart out and see that you can disagree to agree. Thank you.
ದಿ ಹಿಂದೂ ಸೀನಿಯರ್ ಜನರಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಮೆಹರ್ ಎರಮಳ್ಳಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಿ, ಆಳ್ವಾಸ್ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯು ಸದಾ ಹಿಂದೂ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಹಕಾರವನ್ನ ನೀಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ 2ನೇ ಬಾರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಈ ಡಿಬೇಟ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಧೆಯನ್ನ ಆಯೋಜಿಸಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಎಂದು ಉತ್ತಮ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿ ಎಂದು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಶುಭ ಹಾರೈಸಿದರು.
I now request Mr. Meher Ermali to speak a few words on this occasion.
Dr. Kurian, Shri A.M. Khan, my colleague Matthew. When I just walked into Dr. Kurian's room, I saw him tucked away in one corner amongst all the trophies. So next time when I meet Vivek, I'll ask him to create a museum for the kind of trophies that you guys have accumulated. I think it's a great job done by the institute in terms of promoting a lot of activities for the students other than just studies. And probably these kind of forums encourage students to come up with their best. And I must congratulate the institute for encouraging students to take part in various activities. Rostrum, as I see, is a platform to debate, argue, discuss. I think healthy dialogue is the way forward, and people should discuss various topics in a healthy manner, which will help you to reason better. So I think that's a great way to understand the things that are happening around us. And Hindu is particularly happy to participate for the second consecutive year and be a part of the Rostrum event that is happening. And we look forward to many more such events, and will be more than glad to be associated with Alvas Institute. I wish all the participants a great day today, and there will be only 1 or 2 or 3 winners, but in my view, somebody coming forward and to speak from a stage like this, I think everyone is a winner. So all the very best and do well. Thank you.
I now request Mr. A.M. Khan to give out the inaugural speech.
ವೃತ್ತಿಪರ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಒಳಗೊಂಡಂತೆ ಸ್ನಾತಕೋತ್ತರ ಪದವಿ ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ನಾತಕೋತ್ತರ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಅನುಸರಿಸುವ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು ಈ ಸ್ಪರ್ಧೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿದ್ರು. ಈ ಸ್ಪರ್ಧೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇವಲ 4 ಜನರು ಮಾತ್ರ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಬಹುದಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯ ಚರ್ಚೆಗಳು ನಡೆದವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ನ ಬಳಿಕ. ಬ್ರೇಕ್ನ ಬಳಿಕ ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಮಂಗಳೂರು ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾನಿಲಯದ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಎಂ ಖಾನ್ ದೀಪ ಬೆಳಗಿಸುವ ಮೂಲಕ ಉದ್ಘಾಟಿಸಿದರು. ಬಳಿಕ ಮಾತನಾಡಿ, ಆಳ್ವಾಸ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಬರೋದು ಒಂದು ಸಂತೋಷದ ವಿಚಾರ. ಇತ್ತೀಚಿನ ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಯುವಕರು ಉತ್ತಮ ಹಾದಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಎನ್ನುವುದು ಬೇಸರದ ಸಂಗತಿ. ಆದರೆ ಹಿಂದೂ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಯುವಕರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಉತ್ತಮ ವೇದಿಕೆಯನ್ನ ಕಲ್ಪಿಸಿದೆ. ನೀವು ಇದರ ಸದುಪಯೋಗ ಪಡಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಬರೆಯುವ ಮತ್ತು ಓದುವ ಹವ್ಯಾಸವನ್ನ ಬೆಳೆಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಡಿಬೇಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯವನ್ನ ತಿಳಿಸಿ ಮತ್ತು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯವನ್ನ ತಿಳಿದುಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಎಂದು ಹೇಳಿದರು.
It gives me immense pleasure to be here. Time and again I have been visiting Alvas College. That's a different pleasure, but coming to such a event of the talents of youngsters being brought out in such a place, I deem it more happy to be here as a part of the Rostrum activities. As Dr. Kurian was telling us, Rostrum is a platform created by Alvas Education Foundation to express their views, to discuss, to debate. And then one line he was always telling us, to agree to disagree or disagree to agree. That is the spirit of living in democracy. That is the one thing which I liked about what he told and the activities of Rostrum. Friends, you are all here. As Meher was telling us, it's not just competitions. In today's era, when youth are divided on various lines, no individual thinking as far as 60% of the youth are concerned. in such a situation, when all of you have come forward, that itself is winning. In the situation today, where youth are being misguided or diverted or distracted on various lines, maybe technology has distracted them, maybe so many things have brought out, say, so many cracks among the unity of youth. In such a situation, a platform like Rostrum comes forward, and then the Hindu collaborates and gives you an opportunity to speak up your mind. Whenever you have a discussion, a debate, you should be open-minded. Have an open mind, whatever you talk. See, they say a good listener is also a good speaker. Not necessary that you tell your point and then the other person has to agree. Collaborating with the Hindu, or the Hindu coming back to Alvas College for the second time to organize such a program, that shows how Alvas College has been developing a democratic bent of mind among the students. And I wish all the students all the best, have a good day, and then be open-minded to receive, to agree, to disagree, and then to put forward your ideas and accept the other's ideas. It's just like, I would like to say, either convince me or get convinced. That should be the motto when you speak and have an argument. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
I request Mr. Matthew to present a memento to our chief guest, Mr. A.M. Khan, as a token of our love and respect. We wish you all a magnificent and splendid experience learning and being part of this event. Have a great day. Thank you all.
Participants will have to handpick from the slot and speak on a topic. The time duration for each participant is restricted to 3 minutes each. At the sound of the buzzer, the participant is required to speak against the topic. The first buzzer will be at the end of 90 seconds. For this round, you will be evaluated on the basis of subject knowledge, physical presence, voice, and articulation, and your language. Once you are done with both the rounds, you are required to assemble back at this venue for the final round. 10 participants will be selected for the final round. Judges' decision will be final. Thank you. Please be seated and kindly wait for further instructions about your venues.
I request Matthew sir to florally welcome the judges, as I call them.
in fighting for religion. If we would have put that energy in terms of developing in science and technology, we would be at a different stage right now.
We have a lot of people from different sections. So I'm very happy that India is following secularism, but the religion is something which is an outcome of which is protesting vote banks, and religion is something, I can say that a child is born, it's just a mass of flesh.
People are getting so stressed and distracted from doing particular things. If you have to do a particular things, if you want to do anything, for example, take cricket. If you have to play the cricket, we cannot play single because there is a group of people are from various religions.
Karl Marx said that religion is the opium of the masses. So I have like three constructives that I like to propose to the proposition here. One is religion, according to me, is sort of endowment of dogmatic beliefs. So what it does, it operates on fear.
No religion teaches you to fight. I probably personally believe that religions are important because whenever you read any religious book, either the Quran, Bible, or Bhagavad Gita, they teach the very same thing in different languages. That's what.
But same mindset, what do good things for the people, then will get in return. So each and every religion have the same mentality that we should treat the people in good manner. Everybody should
education, as my friend said, education is also a weapon where we can grow even personally we can grow, and when our country can also grow. And initially we should actually invest for defense. If we initially we use a large amount for defense, and it can be maintained properly, that's enough. And for education, education is changing day by day, and it requires regular upgradation, and it should be updated. And it is essential for especially our India, where many of our citizens are belong to the below poverty line groups. The education is really required, and the government should take initiation for developing the education as well, and which generates some income for which results in some generation of incomes.
So the country spends the money for the defense in order to face external problems. We also spend money in order to deal with the external problems. Like the growth of the country, the growth of the people of the country is important, and it's only through education, and we can fight with all the problems that people are facing nowadays in our country. The importance should be given to education, because the difference is important only when there is no peace between two countries, that is only when there is a war or only when it arises. But when education is given to everyone, they know how the international level, how the international peace should be, how they should communicate with others. So with this education, there can be a bonding between two nations where the wars or peace can be maintained. So then I think that more expenses may not be given to defense, and rather it should be given to education, where our education level is really very poor in our country.
The one who is educated, which is a leader, he can make things better if he is educated. So this plays a vital role. If you are educated and you are a leader, then you can stop the war, you can actually fix the league. There is also some certain clear to join the defense, which shows clearly that you have to be educated. Educated to join the defense.
I would like to add a few points to what my co-participants have said. The defense. What we need to understand is that we are not trying to say that defense as well should have no priority at all, or should not be given any importance at all, because obviously in order to maintain its sovereignty, India has had to use its defensive power a lot of time, especially in the recent times. So yes, it is important to implement or to set aside a part of the budget for the defense, but the topic clearly says should India spend more on education rather than defense. So if what more comes in, we need to prioritize, and when we are prioritizing, then education will take a higher position.
So in everything, in whatever we are doing in the society, to help the society, education is a very paramount segment which should be taken care of.
But just protecting the nation from the enemies is not just done. Education plays a vital role in shaping the youth who are the actual important citizens of our country. By educating, it's just not graduating or getting a certificate or saying that we are doing this degree. Also plays a major role in shaping the youth or the citizen into a good human. Just being a strong citizen is not enough.
For preparation, nobody is allowed to leave the room unless 10 people complete their speaking. So, yeah, any queries?
ಚರ್ಚೆಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳ ಬುದ್ಧಿಶಕ್ತಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದಾಗ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಸಣ್ಣ ವಿಷಯಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ವಿಷಯಗಳ ಆಳ ಅಂತರಾಳಗಳನ್ನ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು ತಿಳಿದುಕೊಳ್ಳಬಹುದು. ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಮುಂದುವರಿಯುತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ನ ಬಳಿಕ. ಬ್ರೇಕ್ನ ಬಳಿಕ ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಗುಂಪು ಚರ್ಚೆ, ಟರ್ನ್ ಕೋಡ್, ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಿನಾಲೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಸ್ಪರ್ಧೆಯು 3 ಹಂತಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆದಿವೆ. ಗುಂಪು ಚರ್ಚೆಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಸಿದ ವಿಷಯವನ್ನ ಸ್ಥಳದಲ್ಲೇ ನೀಡಲಾಯಿತು. ಇನ್ನು ಟರ್ನ್ ಕೋಡ್ ಸುತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ 4 ನಿಮಿಷಗಳ ಕಾಲ ವಿಷಯದ ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಲು ವಿಷಯವನ್ನ ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ 2 ಸುತ್ತುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಸ್ಪರ್ಧೆಯನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದಂತಹ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಿನಾಲೆಗೆ ಆಯ್ಕೆಯಾಗ್ತಾರೆ.
What I would like to say is yes, it is justified because today in this improvement in science and technology, we see that there are gradual of what we say there are improvements. Even in the past history, we have seen that animal cloning, hybrid of animal while clowning the sheep, we got the hybrid form of the sheep. Because of that, more wool was produced. Like this, there are so many other advantages also. By giving the hybridization of the animals, we can also see that there are other possible outcomes also. And even we see that because of doing hybrid bulls, we see that there is more stronger bulls coming out in our present generation, because of which we can use them in a particular manner which will be useful for our day-to-day life. Even the productivity will be more. Even the science is improving, and we will get the different species in our existing what to say animal husbandry.
See, women are, we are living in the 21st century, and that is equal status is something which we require. See, that is more role that only men should go to work, or women should be doing the household works. See, parents are something like, they are equal for both men and women. So, what is wrong if men take parenting leave and do all the things? See, that is actually, we are living in a society, stereotype society, and we consider it as a taboo, where men going to kitchen and work is considered as a taboo. But no, that is, and I would say, I'm not, see, I become very stupid if I say that just because I'm a boy, and if I say that no, I can't do the things like cooking and all, that's really atrocious. So things like this actually, which should be weighing prospects. And actually, I'm very happy that people are coming with the equality status, and people are mentioning on that no Fatima has to be work under or has to work in a kitchen, or no Halima or no Rita or no Rima has to become hospital for their parents when some casualties happen. So this men. So these are some of the responsibilities of a man.
India has just become independent, and it did not have so much of development technology and all that. Now what is happening is we tend to forget what is written then in our constitution, and we try to change it, or maybe we want to rewrite the constitution because we are not able to adapt or amend to the rules and regulations, as you already said, written at that point. But definitely there was something written by them with some kind of indication and motivation. So what I feel is, rather than rewriting the constitution, we all need to reconsider the constitution, because constitution is really taken. It's not taken that. It's not being taken that easy, and everybody is like misusing all the rights and misusing everything, and especially in the youth and for corruption and many other issues that have come up. It's all because of not being rewriting. Mostly why the rewriting point has come up. It's come up because we are not able to follow it.
Means emergency powers adopted for Germany, fundamental rights from America, fundamental duties from Russia, and parliamentary democracy from Britain. Our Indian constitution is very unique because article number 360, which says that constitution 362, the articles in the constitution can be amended. So there is no necessary to rewrite the constitution. The amendment question here, where it says simple majority, where the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha should agree, and two-third majority, where two-third members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha should agree, and two-third majority plus half of the state should agree. About GST, this was taken into consideration where half of the state should agree. So there is no need to rewrite the constitution. In the constitution itself, there are provisions where it can be updated.
Kalam said is, for the development of country, India should work by our own chart. That means we should have our own development policy. In another sense, we should have our own written constitution rather than borrowing from others. From the 69 years of independence, the constitution what has been framed, it is 69 years ago, and for the improvement of the country, change is the constant need for the today. So for the development, constitution has to be rewritten. It is a rule book of India. We all are following it. Has been
exam that we write. Writing Indian Constitution is not an exam at all.
Yes, friend, you're right, but different meanings or different meanings. Updating and changing is not same. Updating is just you're moving with hand to hand. You're following that, but making little changes as you're going.
Because if you start touching the reservation topic, there will be lot of issues which will come again. So the minority people will get affected.
Update, that is the thing. We don't want to change anything.
If you follow whatever is there is no need of update and change. So many people
If you want to, like India today, if you see under the line there is a kind of difference, there is a kind of fracas going on between the major.
I've been talking about a lot of subjects, how hope and how certain moral values come in account of how religion should be done. And we also talk about how humanity has led should be done.
We have reached that bottom level where complete beliefs have been become of old and not a core fact.
This world, we see two different ways. The religion is created by us. They didn't make any effect on us.
What we need to understand is everybody sitting around this room is literate. Nobody is illiterate. Everybody has exposure. Everybody is open-minded, not narrow-minded. So leave those aspects of your community. If your community says talking to somebody under your caste, if you're a Brahmin, talking to a Shudra is the wrong thing. Leave that aspect. You are literate.
We have created
As a Catholic, in Roman Catholics, there was a rule. You're not supposed to speak the last community. But as literates, isn't it quite duty to ignore that? That is not the mistake of religion. Do not take religion as a wrong thing. Religion is giving you hope. It wakes you up every morning. The first thing you do in the morning is thank God for waking me up. So if you can take the good in religion,
Of course, there is going to be a stand when they come against each other and start waging war against themselves. I stand strongly against this point that there is a possibility of third world war. Today, we human beings in the 21st century have become so much more civilized. We have seen the causes, we have seen the sufferings of the First World War and the Second World War. I think today, massive population of the world has become educated. We all know that this is really wrong. Whatever has happened in the past twice before shouldn't happen again. We have, as responsible citizens, established an organization like UN, wherein UN has this power of regulating international relations in such a way that the possibility of third world is avoided. Right? We have the United Nations as a strong united organization which is controlling the basic international relations, making it passive, making it a better flow. We have this respect, we have friendship, we have a very ordered relationship with other relations. Let us take up our own country today. We are making better friends. We all have good circles around each other.
ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಮುಂದುವರಿಯುತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ನ ಬಳಿಕ.
And one can observe that multiple differences have led to a lot of socio-political ramifications. So let me start by the social ramification that has been inflicted because of this diversity, and how caste system in particular, how this amalgamation of how caste system is entrenched in our society, and how by breaking this we can lead to an equal society. The first argument is that our society, from a sociological point of term, follows a very endogamous tradition, wherein the social groups try to intermarry, and any external marriage is frowned upon. Now, the very basis of how caste system is predicated is based on the idea that the lineage of a particular caste is moved on from one strata to another. So, if we break this lineage term, wherein there is intermarriage created wherein you see a position wherein people don't identify themselves with the caste because now the offspring of these couple of this intercaste couple will not identify with any particular caste group, but rather will identify with the idea of nationality, the idea of India as a whole. So this is a very, very enhancing idea which needs to be promoted. So one of the ways in which we can promote this concept is by having a different kind of positive affirmative action, wherein we have affirmative action based on social backwardness.
Should restriction be done put upon the freedom of speech and expression in internet or on the social media? Well, internet is a very vast, complex, technology which has been given out to the public, where the control one cannot really control completely. But still, some governments, such as Chinese governments, are putting the restriction. Why? Because they are trying to manipulate, they are trying to control each and every notion of their individual population. So what happens is, whenever what they essentially do is, they bar their citizens from getting involved with the foreign country or any other. So what happens when you put the restriction? There is always misinformation being passed on. So what happens is, they are not knowing that they are being oppressed and they are missing what the democratic rights they might even get the positive outcomes. So whenever they, if you take in China, there is an example that the Tibetans and Muslims are being very much oppressed, which none of us know it properly.
So women empowerment is the initiative taken in a global base, in a society base also. Women empowerment is an initiative to appreciate and encourage.
And that motive towards women, that thinking towards women, they are not allowing the women to come forward. It gives them courage to voice out what is their problem and they can give direction.
It's not only women becoming women, just not about empowerment, but it's about also the volume doesn't come from women, it comes from the opposition.
Women, the gender should not be oppressed.
No, it's not oppressed. I'm sorry, I don't disagree with you. We are not oppressing. We are in 2019 right now. There is no oppression. Urban state. In urban state, you are still going to women still. Why only done, your job is done.
You can take the life example of Delhi case, what had happened. She was highly educated, she was
From the olden days, men are treating women as slaves. That's right. So what is women empowerment? Giving certain powers to women.
Yeah.
So they can come up in the society, so they can live with themselves. So yes, of course, it is
I'm sorry. Don't we have to change our services. We exactly can specify this. We represent There should be a proper information about what they are going to be taught. Actually, this is my what it should be taught or correction should not be.
The maximum duration of the debate final will be 10 minutes for each participant. The selected participants for the debate final speak for or against based on a topic based on token picked by them. The topics for debate final are Swachh Bharat Mission, Farm Loan Waiver, Minimum Education Qualification for People's Representative, Is Credibility of Media at Stake, Corruption, a major issue in forthcoming Lok Sabha elections. The participants are required to prepare in advance for all the above topics for debate finale. At any stage, the decision of the organizers and the judges will be final. Any offending statements presented by the participants on religion, gender, personal allegations, and usage of offensive language during the contest will lead to disqualification of all the participants. The judgment criteria is based on organization and clarity, facts and figures, use of argument, use of cross-examination and rebuttal, and your presentation style. So without any further ado, let us begin with the final showdown.
Bharata is the biggest democratic. I say both this proudly. At the same time, I need to agree to the fact Bharata, India is dirty. Bharata is unhygienic. Yes, respected jury members, brothers and sisters, and all my dear fellow contestants, I am taking on the topic Swachh Bharata Abhiyana, Swachh Bharat Mission, a successful story. Yes, it is a success. In a country like India, where plenty of people came to road with a broom to make India the better place to live in, then such a movement is 100% a successful story. Let me start. In 2014, our Prime Minister thought, let's make India the better place to live in. Let's make India to a greater place to live in. So, Swachh Bharat Mission was established on October 2nd on 2014, and the agenda was simple. By 2019, October 2nd, we will have the open defecation system removed completely, and every home in the India will have the toilet. India will be the right place to live in. We are almost to the end. I think Swachh Bharat is one of the simplest movement, yet the most impacted movement. Let me start with a story. How many of you heard of a Bai Devi's name in the northern India? How many of you heard? I think none of them. She is a lady of 106 years age, and she is the one who sold us 7 goats. The reason was simple: to raise the money to build a toilet in her house. This is the impact of Swachh Bharat Abhiyana. Remember, because of Swachh Bharat Abhiyana, a lady of 106 years sold her 7 goats to raise the funds to build a toilet in her house. If Swachh Bharat Abhiyana can make an impact in such a lady of 106 years, and what the impact that has created among the youths like us, this is the success story of Swachh Bharata. How many of you in the crowd think Swachh Bharat Abhiyana had not made an impact? Definitely none of us. Because Swachh Bharat Abhiyana had progress in every factor. Let me start with the statistics. According to the National Youth Sample or the National Sample Survey, which we famously called, the question was simple. Do you think Swachh Bharat Abhiyana had created a trigger in the Indian youths or the Indian citizen? The answer was 9 out of 10 Indians created. It is the best movement, irrespective of the political view, irrespective of what you think. But Swachh Bharat Abhiyana is simple. Swachh Bharat Abhiyana has made us simple. We should not throw the dirty things to the streets. That's the simple and a straightaway message that Swachh Bharat Abhiyana has given. What is the percentage of the toilets does India have before the Swachh Bharat Abhiyana? That's exactly 62.15%. You can cross-check in the Google. And what is the total number of toilets does India have now? It's 90 plus. This is the success of Swachh Bharat Abhiyana. Swachh Bharat Abhiyana's success lies in every house of the India having the toilets. This may look harsh, that what does the toilets having the toilet is a success story, but that's the reality. The reality and the agenda of Swachh Bharat Abhiyana is every house having the toilets. Do you remember? 11 states of India, 315 districts, and exactly 3.25 lakh villages of India have been declared as free from open defecation system. And this was made and this was called after the movement of the Swachh Bharat Abhiyana. Before the Swachh Bharat Abhiyana, the number of cities which were called cleaner or the cleaner was zero because they were never recognized, because becoming the cleaner city was never an issue. Only Swachh Bharat Abhiyana is the one movement which shows the importance of becoming the cleaner. This is the success story of Swachh Bharat Abhiyana, dear friends. And we all witnessed which city is the cleanest city. Which is the cleanest city? All the Karnataka people shouted that Mysore need to be the cleanest city, Mysore need to be the cleanest city. The same impact have been shown in every states of India to make their cities the cleaner. This is the impact of Swachh Bharata. The impact of Swachh Bharata is to make India the cleaner and a better place to live in. Jai Hind.
ಬ್ರೇಕ್ನ ಬಳಿಕ ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಇನ್ನು ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಿನಾಲೆಗೆ ಆಯ್ಕೆಯಾದ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಆ ವಿಷಯದ ಕುರಿತಾಗಿ ಚರ್ಚೆಯನ್ನ ಮಾಡಲು ನೀಡಲಾಯಿತು. ಚರ್ಚೆಗೆ ಇದ್ದಂತಹ ವಿಷಯಗಳೆಂದರೆ ಸ್ವಚ್ಛ ಭಾರತ್ ಮಿಷನ್, ರೈತರ ಸಾಲ ಮನ್ನಾ, ಜನಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಕನಿಷ್ಠ ಶೈಕ್ಷಣಿಕ ಅರ್ಹತೆ, ಮಾಧ್ಯಮಗಳ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸಾರ್ಹತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಭ್ರಷ್ಟಾಚಾರ, ಮುಂಬರುವ ಲೋಕಸಭಾ ಚುನಾವಣೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಮುಖ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಈ ಕುರಿತಾದ ವಿಷಯವನ್ನ ನೀಡಲಾಗಿತ್ತು.
So I am speaking against Swachh Bharat Abhiyana. So I know it is one of the national movements, but let me make it clear, why do we really need brand ambassadors which include the cricketers and the actors holding the broom in their hand, the ones who have been seen and literally telecasted insulting those same people and the cleaners, and while in favor of Swachh Bharat Abhiyana they hold the broom and they have been pictured. Why? This is a TRP stunt. It's a stunt to chase all the TRP and publicity. Maybe it's a right thing to clean, but let me tell you, it is very difficult to clean the mindset of the people. Open defecation is one such problem that's more focused or emphasized in the rural areas. What about the urban sectors? One problem that we all tend to ignore is open urination. Have we ever tried to solve this problem? Open defecation, okay, we might have constructed so many toilets in that favor, but what about open urination? Does open urination also have some health disease same as that of the defecation? This is a problem that's never targeted. And let me come to the mindset. As I already said, mindset means, as we have already come across one of the Bollywood movies, that is Toilet, where it was clearly indicated that people do not want to build in toilets in their houses. Irrespective of the fact that we are building a public toilet outside, people themselves, they don't want to build toilets inside their house. Who will change the mindset? We may have camps and awareness programs, but let me tell you, India is still a rural dominating country, and there are people who still believe that they openly defecating inside their house is a kind of myth, or they shouldn't be making their house unclean and all these things. Now these things, let me tell you, Swachh Bharat Abhiyana has not focused on. We tend to build private and public toilets outside so that a particular amount of people can come out and they can use it, but when you cross the state highways, these people have been charging us for all the toilets, and the ones who do not have change of 2 rupees and 5 rupees are not supposed to enter the toilet, and those toilets are really unclean and unhygienic. Now if we are creating a toilet, or if we are creating a public place to defecate or urinate, it's also our duty to keep it clean. But we ourselves have witnessed there are so many toilets on the highways which have not been clean, but has a board outside saying Swachh Bharat Abhiyana.
Of a villages, right? That's where we achieved 3,02.5 villages open defecation system.
Okay.
Remember, agenda of Swachh Bharata mission, the biggest problem of India is open defecation system. Let's we clear that problem first. After that, let's we go to the dirt. And you are thinking, we are doing the one. She's saying, there is dirt, there is that thing. First, let's clear the bigger picture. Let's make India the better place to live in. Why are you bringing in the dirt? Which is
what about the urban sector? Okay, fine. Open defecation happens in rural. What about the urban sector? Nobody defecates openly in the urban sector. In urban sector, what happens is the industrial waste, the dirt and the waste that comes out from human and all the other, the dirty, the plastic, the food materials and all that we throw over there, that is the main problem here. So if we are targeting both the Swachh Bharata, that is Bharata has entire the rural as well as the urban sector. So we need to clean it both together.
Okay, the stats are wrong, because according to the urban sector, we had, according to the 2016 municipal acts, which all the industries need to go through, and no of the industries can just bury their waste unnecessarily or unhygienically. Remember, all the industries in the urban area should go through the act of 2016 municipal act.
What about the layman layman?
Just remember, just.
What about the layman? What about the layman?
That's how we are coming on. Biggest problem of India is the open defecation system. That's 3.25 lakh villages. And you mentioned about the attitudinal change. What about that lady of 106 years selling the goats, has changed her attitude, but you are saying that your attitude has not changed.
Are we sure that everybody in the nation has changed the attitude?
99.99. That's the impact that Swachh
But there
Bharat
are certain
Abhiyan has
people,
done.
there are certain people out there still not ready to let go out the waste or throw the waste in the dustbin. See, open defecation is something. That's what I said. Open
the
defecation is
agenda-
something in the rural area,
You can
right?
cross-check, dear people. The mission of Swachh Bharat Abhiyana, the basic mission was to remove the open defecation system. Because open defecation system was the biggest problem in India.
Swachhata
and
has
we
to be
have
maintained
achieved
in
it.
every
That's the
single
success of Swachh
aspect,
Bharat
not just in
Abhiyana.
the case of defecation and urination.
Okay, your time is up.
If you start finding a perfection person in this world, you will never find it. Don't you think this particular aspect of Swachh Bharat has created some awareness, and that cleanliness of the people, the mindset of the people towards cleanliness hasn't it changed? Now just one thing, defecation, what you are talking about, the discharging this one, hasn't been reduced. If you talk about that, whatever it is, the discharge open, and if somebody is telling that that has reduced, you are talking about urination.
Now, if somebody started talking about this solution to the urination, you will have another problem. Just showing another problem towards just undermining the achievement of some problem, how much is that right? And as far as industrial waste is concerned, I don't know how it comes under Swachh Bharat. It's all about the legal aspect of a particular industry that needs to be done, and that cannot be connected here. Am I right or wrong?
So there is one point that I would like to put forth. As I said, in case of open defecation, we construct, or he might have constructed houses, toilets in the houses, latrines in the houses. But my point is, there are some people still who have that mindset that no, we shouldn't be constructing toilets inside the house, and that has been happening in the northern states. And there are certain places where they are still under that belief, like, okay, we shouldn't be having one toilets and all inside.
Why don't you change your mindset? There are so many people who have already constructed the toilets in their house.
Sorry, so the example of change of mindset is that 106-year-old lady, because for 106 years she has not realized it, but the Swachh Bharat Abhiyana has realized it, and PM Modi has appreciated her in the 2018 in Vigyan Bhavan. That's the attitudinal change brought after 100 years of her leaving. That's the attitudinal change that has created.
All right, D4, I have a question for you. If you drive towards Mangalore from Kundapur, there is a bridge there, and that bridge is actually filled with plastic covers that are disposed from homes. It has the waste. How do you explain the Swachh Bharat? You can drive even now and see it. The people there in Kundapur, around Kundapur and Koteshwar, tell us that there is nobody who comes to collect the garbage.
Yes, ma'am, I have not seen.
So, is that the 0.01%? No, I've seen it, so I ask you.
I have not seen that because I don't know the exact reason for the problem. Might be the industries or the attitude of the people which was earlier on. I think for example, Ganga river, what we are taking the operation on, if we take such operation and make the river clean once and make the impact and teach the people in the surrounding river, area of the river, not to make it again, because this is your river. If we create that awareness and education, definitely we can regain the virginality of that river. I think that is the remedial measure we can make to impact, because it has been already done, it has been once destroyed. It's about regaining its naturality. I think that's what we need to work on.
The target was 196 million toilets, and they have built 86 toilets. So 86 million toilets.
When the targets were set, basically.
Can I complete? So 86 divided by 196 is actually not 99.99. And you can see the list. There are 30 most unclean cities in the world, and 22 cities are from India. Plus 20 crores was spent on Ganga. The condition is much more horrible than previous.
But if you have cross-checked the stats in 2013 or 2012, the stats were horrible. Now that's, you can look into stats. That's where the stats have been changed. You said 9 or something cities have been still the most polluted. I think the numbers were bigger. It has reduced the numbers, and this is the one movement that has reduced the number. So if this can create just some sort of cleanliness, this is the movement we need to stick on and go up with. That's what my speech is. Thank you.
Next, we'll be having D8, who will be speaking for farm loan waiver, whereas she will be opposed by G1, who will be speaking against it.
And to defeat his goals, to lose his mind and soul. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm speaking about our farmers. Mostly we have seen since ages, since in movies, in newspapers, and everywhere, we keep on thinking that these people might be just poor, not having enough, and working for some money or working for some rice and stuff. What I have kept on studying since my ages is the people in other countries. If you are a farmer, you're quite equipped, you're much more rich. But what in India? If you see the case of India, if you are a farmer, one of your family member, if he is a farmer, is expected to attempt suicide. And that's the case. Every day, at least 45 farmers commit suicide. What is the case? Why are they committing suicide when they are the ones who are providing food in your plate? What is the need for them to commit suicide when they themselves are providing food to you? Man, they could be God. But the reason is they don't have enough to feed themselves. The godowns, they go, the clan, they work, they till, they work hard every day and night, and they keep on praying to God that, oh God, just let the rain pour down. They themselves don't know that whether it will come or not, and when the whole crop is devastated, what happens? Only broken hearts, high paid off loan which they cannot repay, uneducated children, illiterate by themselves, staying in backward areas, highly politics. They couldn't do anything, and only one reason is left is to attempt suicide. That's what the basic case is going on each and every day, and what we hear every time. Now recently, there is this 16,000 crore thing going on within the government to waive off the farmers from the loan. What is the point? They are basically saying in simple words that we are going to completely leave off the loan for the farmers. Well, is it good or bad? At one side, being me as for the motion, I would say definitely it's good. It's going to help someone. Come on, it's going to help the one who is providing you food. It's going to help him to reduce his loan, whether you see it or not, whether you see it as this is a political scam or anything, or just providing an aid, but it is providing an aid. At least even for 1% of people, okay, fine, at least for 1% of people. If out of that 45, even if the number decreases to 44 and 43, it is worth it. And that's what it's all about.
ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಮುಂದುವರಿಯುತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ನ ಬಳಿಕ.
Land of agriculture. India, a land of n number of spices. When you speak about India, the first thing that comes to your mind is farmers, agriculture. Yes. When it comes to loan waiver, the concept of loan waiver, it goes back to the date 1990s. You know, it started with state government implementing 10,000 crores. 10,000 crores. Let me stress on the money part over here. Because this 10,000 crores, it's not from the government. It's from each and every individual that honestly pays taxes. Okay, I would like to stress on this because as a respective individual, as a responsible citizen of India, I pay my taxes very honorably. Okay, when it comes to loan waivering, it's agreed at certain points it's good, but as we've seen the trend during the political, high rises, the elections time that come up, they choose for, giving the false promises to the farmers. They're going to do this, they're going to do that. Let me ask one thing to each and every one of you. Has anyone who is an honest taxpayer has received the accountability as to where the money has gone? No. As far as I've seen, no. There was no single research as to where that money was implemented. We get that loan waivering is good, you're clearing off their debts. Okay, but what if you provide the same instruments instead of just giving them money, giving them instruments to learn, providing them the technology, providing them with the tractors that makes their work easy instead of just waiving off the loan, just clearing off their homework. They're stress free. What's happening? The trend has fallen from 10,000 crores in 1990. It has come to 52,000 crores in 2008. And the numbers are going high. The numbers are just sky rising. Karnataka nearly spent in 2017 nearly 70 plus crores just to waiver off loan. Now what's happening is, now every farmer that goes under a loss, he's just waiting. Now why is he waiting? Because he knows that government will come and clean off the mess. No, that's not how it's going to work. As I'm going against for the topic, I would appreciate clearing off the loans. Okay, not a problem. But then use that money to introduce technology. Use that money to introduce, at least show the transparency as to where the money is flowing. A statement has been declared by the representative of some party saying that this much money will be implemented if you put me into such power. And then what? What happens as a individual taxpayer, we are just worried about our day-to-day lives. Okay, we know that, we've honestly paid our taxes. You know what happens when the money is, so much crores of money has implemented to waiver of tax? The GDP falls down. Okay, the technology, the infrastructure in India falls down. When all the money is going in someone else's pocket to do things that there's no accountability, now ask yourself, would you pay your taxes now? Okay, one of those reasons, we don't have trust in the government because of these reasons. They say 32,000 crores will be implemented on this, and then what happens? What happens? Nothing? You forget about it, the government forgets about it, they got the money in. That's all. That's all. So loan wavering is what do you call? It's disease that's coming up. That has to be eradicated soon, because this will be an habit. Because if you see loan wavering, the concept stays same. They'll just stress on the part loan wavering, farm loan wavering, but they won't stress on the numbers, because the numbers keep on rising from 10,000 crores. It's individual states that I'm talking here. UP spent the highest. They spent around 70, 80 plus crores. So henceforth, when it comes to loan wavering, this has to be stopped immediately. A new alternative has to be taken. With that, I would like to conclude. Thank you.
So basically, my opponent, you want to say that even the farmers, for example, if I take about last year, Kerala, the one who were affected highly, and then the government came and helped them. Okay, maybe that's not in a form of loan, but they came and instantly helped them at any cost. Even is that bad? Do you think that it's not a kind of help, or the amount which was spent as promised and was also prominently used as a help was an aid or as a disadvantage? What do you think on that?
I have two questions for you.
Yeah,
First
sure.
question, the scenario that took place, the calamity that happened in Kerala, when was the last time it happened again? That once in a while, or occasionally, or a very rare incident that took place, that was natural calamity. For natural calamity, there are certain loans and certain provisions also, certain protocols that are followed. So funding is not a problem. Plus everyone here, I'm pretty sure, contributed, including me. I'm pretty sure about that. So they had enough funds. And second thing about the farmers that they told you about, okay, they have been, they provide certain provisions for that also. These are the things that don't occur repeatedly. Okay, loan wavering is occurring repeatedly since 1990. 1990, 2008, 2014. 3 times already. When did it repeat? The incident, the calamity. That was the first time in Kerala, right? Yes, you have my answer.
I agree with that, but that's not the exact answer what I was expecting from you. Well,
yeah.
Do you have any question for me?
Yeah, I do have a question for you. Okay, okay, loan wavering, as you said, the farmers, the industry and all. Let me ask you one thing. Would you be more benefited if I take that money and not directly clear off your loan? If I take that money and make you understand how you can clear off the loan by introducing new technology to you, by helping you beneficially for a longer term? Or would you just want the money for one time and just your loan is cleared?
Because I'm going
long run or short run? Long run or short run?
Because exactly. I'm gonna answer you.
Long run or short run? That was my question. Long run or short run?
If I die today because of loan, then I don't have any long term.
You dying is your
for me.
Dying is your own responsibility. It's up to you if you die.
I don't know.
That is the most shameful thing a human can do.
All these crises.
All right. My question is to G1.
Yes.
First and foremost, you've thrown in numbers. You say Karnataka is 70 plus crores.
Yes.
And then some other
UP.
state. Yeah.
UP.
When you say 70 plus, you're very vague. So you haven't got your figures right. My question to you is, what is the harm in providing a waiver when we've consistently had our MLAs, have had our MLAs and MPs who've got a rise in their allowance year after year, and we don't see any work being done. So how do you deliberate on that?
Okay, as you said, ma'am, we haven't seen the work get done. So that's a problem here with the loan wavering. You know, when you introduce technology, you know, when you're getting machinery, physical products to the farmers, that can be watched, that can be seen, that can be felt. You know, there's tangible stuff coming in. You know, so that you can understand, people can see it. When you're talking about clearing of the loan, it just happens in banks. You know, banks, and like she said, it's a lot of procedure for farmers to understand.
I'll repeat my point. I said in a country where your representatives, political representatives, are consistently getting a raise, what is the harm in waiving off loans of poor farmers?
There is no accountability. There is no accountability.
So there is accountability where your MPs and MLAs are getting a raise?
No,
remember, it's all taxpayers' money.
Yes,
that you so strongly endorsed.
Yes. Ma'am, there is no accountability when it comes to solving a big number of waivers. We are just not talking about particular land or particular. It includes a lot of land, a lot of farmers, a lot of you know, droughts and to cover up. There are farmers who take advantage of this. You know, there's a certain criteria. You know, if a little more, there's a, you know, if a land is having a little more. Okay.
Yeah, first.
Yes, sir. If a person is having a little more land compared to the criteria, he'll just wait for it to happen, and he's also take benefit of it, even if he doesn't need it. So there are certain cases also. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, D8. What do you want? You want to avoid the suicide of a farmer, or you want to postpone it? I give 1 lakh loan waiver now. Okay, just 1 minute. I am not yet finished my
I want to postpone, because till the time it is postponed.
Then he will commit suicide.
No
problem.
He'll think about it, and then he'll have a new plan.
There is something very dangerous situation here. If you want to feed a person, for a day, you give him the fish. Yes. And if you want to feed him for the lifetime, you tell him how to catch a fish. Yeah. Simply throwing away money for no cause and without understanding a root cause for it. Exactly. And challenges is a part and parcel of everybody's life. What do you think? Only farming is under stress? Education institutions are facing problems. Hotels are facing problems. I am from construction. No field has been ever suffered because of the situation as what we are suffering. But we need to understand them that every difficulty is a challenge, and if you want to be a successful person, you should face that challenge.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that.
Understanding without going for deep into the root of it, you simply throw the money on them. Don't you think it is simply doing an injustice to honest taxpayer like me, where I am earning everything and I am giving 40% of my earning for the cause of the government and simply throwing out on them. That's the first question. You please answer me, whether you want to postpone it or permanent. And why do you want to only postpone it?
The first part is, when you go and look at the exact depth of farmers, there are 3 types of farmers, what I have studied: large, middle, and small farmers. And mostly the highly affected are small farmers people. And when you go to depth of them, they don't have that literacy or that sources, or nor they are aware of the basic government rules or ideologies where they could get an aid from.
Important question to ask you. See, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code talks about how stressed asset, the NPAs of the top crony businessmen will be resolved in the so-called notion of creating good business policy.
Okay.
As you have custom duty write-offs, corporate income tax write-offs,
yes.
How can you justify this morally in the wake of millions of farmers committing suicide for a paltry sum of 6,000 rupees per head?
Okay, totally agree. See, there are 2 concepts of, for example, you can say 2 heads of the coin. Okay, one side is we are dealing with uneducated farmers. Mostly they come from rural areas, so that requires a lot more deliberation and lot more human efforts and lot more understanding as to why it has to happen. When we are speaking of the co-ops and all the policies and stuff, that it's educated process and it's a very ethical way, and it's all digitalized. We are living in a digitalized process, so that makes the work easier.
The next participants are F3, who will be speaking for minimum education qualification, F3, and G10 will be opposing it.
a nation, when it has to be developed, there must be education. So, from the 72 years of independence, the main aspect after food or after hunger comes education. But now, hunger is not a big problem. The main problem is the education faced by the peoples. And basically, when we talk about leaders, they must be educated so they can represent themselves in a better way. You have seen many government peoples, many leaders who are not educated and who doesn't know about their own city or state, and they talk some or the another thing, and they have personal secretaries to advise them to what to speak. So you can see the conditions of the ministers who are not educated, but there are well-educated ministers who have the courage to speak boldly, and also they speak appropriately, the point to point, whatever is happening, whatever should be happening, and they have the capability of listening. They have the capability to solve the problems of any kind of problem it may be. It may be to the farmers, it may be to the economy, it may be to the industry, it may be to the development of the country. So basically, what I feel, education is most important, but it should not be given a level that this much level is required for a minister. No. A minimum level of second PU is more than enough to know about his own country. The minister should be knowledge about his own country. He should know the states, he should know the capitals, he should know the things that is going on in his own city or in his own state. It might be an MLA, it might be a chief minister, it might be the home minister, it might be the president or the prime minister. They must be educated. Yes, of course, the president is educated, but there are many ministers who are uneducated, but still in a higher post. See, IAS officers, they study day by day, work hard, and get the qualification. But these ministers come above them with no rules, with no education, with no qualification. Still, they do things which are not to be done. They do corruption. They do bribe. If your work should be done, give me money. Otherwise, no. So these are not the rules. If a qualified person is there, then what he will do is, he will, yes, to finish a work, it will take time, but he will do it with proper rule and regulation. He will know the step by step of the constitution, how to work, how to execute a problem, how to plan for it. Yes, you can see people like doctors, engineers. You can't be an engineer without qualification or education. You can't be a doctor without education.
That government, the lady who was behind that DMK university, DMK government, and she made that journey what it is right now. She was not that educated as we are discussing right now. So this means that my point, the education is not necessary for a leader who wants and who leads the pack towards wherever he goes. And I conclude myself.
So you're saying that education is not required? We are on the 2019, bro. Education is the most thing that is required. When you talk about a person, first thing the person asks is whether he is qualified or not. Yes or no? Yes or no?
I will tell you a story behind it.
Sure, you can.
Okay, there will be like 4 members and a Gurukul. And one member is not educated at all. But 3 members, one is educated with how to take and join the nerves, and another is educated with how to bind the flesh and bones, and another one is educated with how to put a life within the body. So those 3, what that Guru will say, okay, you have learned everything, you just go. And what they will, while going, there is like piles of bones lying around, and what those 3 people will say, I have education, then I will put it into life. That uneducated people said, it is lion, don't put it, it will eat. It is common sense. And those 3 people, what they will do, they will just put a flesh and bone and they will give a life to it. But that uneducated person, what he does, he climbs a tree and he sets. That shows that decision making. And what he does, the life comes, and whatever that lion is, it is nature is fill the hunger. It eats all the 3 persons. This not shows that education, it shows common sense. Common sense. Uneducated people are also having common sense.
You know what is the meaning of the story or the moral of the story?
Okay.
That is completely away from what you're saying. The moral of the story is that don't show that you have education or don't show that you are qualified to do something. That is the moral. And when we are saying the education for the ministers, seriously, a person running the constitution without education, is it safe? A person, you just see, as the practical what we all have seen, if one person's dad is a minister, then his son is a member of the parliament, member of the, the party. And
If the father is rich, the son is very rich, and his son is more rich. So what is happening? Are they here to grow their family, or are they here to grow their country? Is this what the politicians do?
If you are going to the educational level of an ISR, with due respect to that, what I feel, they simply go by rule books without understanding the ground reality. Number one. Number two, in a government office, if you tell just being educated you can't be corrupt, I'm sorry, you are extremely wrong. In an office,
yes,
if you say that engineer doesn't take money, you are wrong.
No, sir.
If you in an office, if you say a superengineer doesn't take money, only politician will take money, I'm sorry. The corruption, the more corruption is with the educated people in a government office than with the politician. This is my personal experience. Sir. Now just 1 minute. When we talk of education is required. It is not being literates, it is being educated. We need to try to implement in a positive thinking. The best rule in India, what everybody is talking about as far as I know, is Kamraj rule. You know who is Kamraj?
No, sir.
He is a total illiterate person. So it is a state of the mind. An uneducated person, if he is there, if his intentions are proper, if his mindset, his sincerity of the purpose is in a proper place, the rate of execution is much, much better than an educated person. Just because where we educated people think too much how not to do it, but there is one person uneducated, doesn't know anything, his intentions are wrong, the chances of getting more. So what is your comment on this?
Sir, as you said, the engineers that do more corruption, or the government secretaries that work in office do more corruption. Yes, sir, it's not wrong. But the ministers who are there, in the main seats, they know that they are doing the corruption. And highest amount of corruption that the engineer does, that highest amount of money.
Even educated minister also knows it.
Yes, sir.
He also can't stop there.
He can't, sir, but he can. Yeah. The educated minister can take a step forward.
No, nobody is taking.
Yes, nobody is. That is the problem.
All right.
Education and uneducation comes here.
The greatest number of scams, and it's an obscene amount, that happened in India was when it had a prime minister who was an acclaimed economist. How do you explain that? There is all G. You are also a G, right? What G are you today?
No, sir.
That's G10, okay. 2G, 3G, 4G, and probably if they were there, it would probably go on like 5G, 6G, just like your i10 phones. So how do you explain the massive corruption that took place under a man who understands money, who was an acclaimed economist? How do you explain that?
But ma'am, we can't blame that person, right?
Then what is the point of education? What is the point of having a highly acclaimed foreign educated minister or a representative as your prime minister?
No, ma'am.
Adding to it, and let me not talk political,
sure,
but the corruption rate has come down drastically under a much less educated person afterwards. That is also the truth.
Sir, as you said, yes, it is true. But the thing is that we can't blame that person. He is trying his level best. But the thing is, the corruption that is being there from a long time, it's still continuing. It is corrupting the peoples. It is not just the person. If he is educated, he is trying not to take corruption or not take bribe. But
so if an educated
the system,
if an educated person does it, it's okay.
No, sir, it's not at all okay. It is wrong.
Have you heard about a lady called as Capsicum Kamalamma?
No, sir. Sorry.
She's the capsicum grower in the Ramnagar village in Karnataka, and she sells her capsicums to the pizzerias in Italy and everywhere. She was an uneducated woman up until now. Why did she become famous? Because one of the persons over there, the education department guy, came and said that with the capsicum you can do it and you can take it abroad, and she exports it now to everywhere. So somebody should be there to guide her. Even though she's good at growing capsicum, it was shown to the world by an educated person, knowledge about it. Since it's ended, you don't have to answer me.
The next performers would be B7, who will be speaking for. The topic is credibility of media at stake. And D7, D for dog, would be speaking against it.
A very good afternoon to everyone. I'm B7 and I'll be speaking for the topic that media's credibility is at stake. If I say that John Oliver is the most reliable journalist and Rajat Sharma is a hysterical entertainer, I'm pretty sure most of you will think that I'm not far off the mark. In fact, 83% of Indians are concerned about fake news and 72% cannot differentiate between fake news and actual news, according to a recent BBC study titled The Importance of News and the Value of Trust. This is today's media's sad reality. Now, globally and even in India, media exports something known as the infotainment, which is a little bit of information along with an unhealthy amount of entertainment. In this new world, the biggest revenue that news corporations gain is from advertisements. And in the competition for advertisements, fact often get distorted. For example, the doctor tapes of JNU students that were circulated in a few news channels without any valid verification. Even in the recent Indo-Pak standoff, a time where calm heads were required, unfortunately, many of the Indian anchors were screaming their head off. Also, we cannot forget that social media is a big component of media today. And social media, fortunately or unfortunately, qualifies everyone and anyone as a broadcaster with a degree from the WhatsApp School of Journalism. While this might be a great news for freedom of speech, for credibility of media, not so much. The expansion of media has led to shrinking of public sphere. Media is now divided based on the opinions of its viewers. For example, in the political scenario, we have the liberal media outlets and the right-wing media outlets. This is a big problem because viewers tend to stick to the media outlets that validate their opinions, and in return, media outlets try to appease their viewers by going to any length, even distort facts while delivering a piece of news. This has led many experts to say that news is now politically driven. It has become a political mouthpiece. And while it is a separate debate whether this is the actual truth or not, the very fact that such apprehension exists in the general public tells us that the credibility of media is hampered to a great extent. The Edelman Trust Barometer of 2018 said that among 28 countries surveyed, 6 countries have lost trust by a huge number, and India, unfortunately, is one of them. Trust of public in media has decreased to 61% this year as compared to 66% just last year. Even globally, media is the least trusted institute. And while the huge media outlets might still be having some faithful followers, at the end of the day, we know that when we sip on a cup of coffee and have a newspaper beside us, we are not sure whether we are reading a valid piece of news or not. So if I am asked, is credibility of media at stake? I'll say nationally and internationally, credibility of media is at stake. Thank you.
Of media is always going to be its own maker. Now, these were the words that were quoted by the Finance Minister of India in a very volatile present state of our nation, Mr. Arun Jaitley. Respected jury and most distinguished audience, good afternoon. We are in a world that is advancing day by day. Consider science, consider technology, the geography, everything is ever changing. And the people always resort to only one source of information, so as to have a clear understanding of what's happening. And those are the various forms of media that are available. The credibility of media being questioned to be at stake or not is one that should not be considered. I will give you global examples to prove it. Look at one of the largest continents in the world today, Africa. They have implemented a system by the name of Africa Check, by which every fact that is put at suspicion is monitored, blocked, evaluated, and then only accepted into the world. Forget looking at one continent in particular. Let's look at a global scale. The science of artificial intelligence is being the most exploited in the field of media today. And how exactly, you can ask me? It's exploited to the extent whereby fake news is to be identified and it's processed, understood if it's true or not by weighing facts, checking numbers and figures day in and day out, and then putting the truth of what is supposed to be out there. Now, questioning the credibility of media is never a one-sided coin. It's not just that you blame the idea of media. It's a two-sided coin whereby the people involved, the recipients, are also at stake. It should be understood as to how that the world is evolving and that every single day people are becoming aware of what is available to them. The logic and the idea behind fact-checking is becoming the most evident in the present-day world. Now, you talk about people, you talk about two-sided coins. Look at our very domestic nation itself, India. As soon as our nation achieved independence, one of the most prioritized laws that were put into place was the ISA, the Indian Society of Advertisements. Now, this organization was very pivotal because not only did they prove to be a very important form of filter against propaganda that was filled down through years before India opened up as a free world economy. Not let alone just that, but within the politics that was happening within this country, the second largest country in the world in terms of population, was given a better understanding. And that is critical, because the more the population becomes educated about what is right, the more the world moves forward. And now, after coming to clear understanding that it's just not about how one could blame the media about what is at stake, it's not about if the media is providing false information, but it's about the people who are factored to the media. Journalists who want to bring out the truth that is there in the world today are held at stake. It's not about what media wants to bring out, because the media never lies, and the systems that are present in the world today do not allow them to. But what about the people who want to bring out the credibility to media? What about their lives? What about when they want to bring out the truth? That is what should be questioned. Thank you.
You said that artificial intelligence is now being used to make sure that no false information is out there.
Yes.
I have a simple question, and I would appreciate a yes or no answer. Today, if you get a WhatsApp forward in one of the groups that you're randomly in, are you 100% sure that it is 100% accurate?
There was no statement that I told it's going to be 100% accurate. That's why I mentioned
I would
that.
appreciate
That's
a yes
why.
or no answer.
No, clearly no, because it's a double-sided coin. It's not just let alone the media, not let alone who are producing the information. It's also up to the people, the recipients who hold the credibility of media at stake.
Okay. So when this happens, when you're not 100% sure that a news you have just received on your phone is 100% right, won't you question the credibility of media at that point?
That is why I would like to state, it's not just you're looking at one particular direction and willing to say yes or no to what is coming. What is coming is also the people's responsibility, because media is not just information being sent, it's information being received as well. And that is where most of the accountability can be held to the person receiving it, because it should be an individual responsibility in this world
There
today.
should be individual responsibility, but the topic is not about what we owe to media. The topic is about media at large, including the recipients and the people who send out the information. Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Including both of them. Can you say that credibility of media is not at stake?
Yes, I can.
I tend to disagree with you,
Why would you disagree?
because like I just gave so many facts.
Can I state one particular fact? You stated about how social media is being very much exploited in terms of this credibility. Now let's look at a very simple example I'm pretty sure everyone is aware about, the Cambridge Analytica scam that had turned up, which questioned the credibility of media, which has been battled with full force ever since its rise. That is where the idea of artificial intelligence has been exploited in the present day world, a simple understanding between you and me.
So the question for you is, who's to blame, the media or the people? I'll give you just example. What sells now is, if I say that this perfume is very good, it has a lot of scent and everything, nobody buys it. For example, if I say that I apply this, 5-10 girls come and fall on me, it sells. Okay? Example of an axe. And if Raki Sawan comes and says that, oh Jesus, TRP increases. But if somebody is speaking sense that there is no TRP. So everything in this media is TRP driven. So how can you blame the media for that? It's the people who we as a people watch that program who should be blamed.
So I agree with you that the TRP is a major component, and like I said, adverts. The same goes with advertisement as well. So the media corporation has to see that its business is run, because of which they have to give point to TRPs. But the simple fact is that when the media tends to divide itself based on the opinions of the people, I am not saying that the people do not have any responsibility, but expecting a mature decision from a group of 1.2 billion people as compared to expecting maturity from an organization, from a corporation whose main job is to put correct news at your doorstep, I think we need to first question the corporations. And obviously the social mindset, in the current social mindset, if I am the follower of some political party and I get sent a message which actually validates my opinions, I will try to forward it. That is right. But if we have a strong sense of ethics in today's media corporation, then the very origin of such things will decrease. I am not saying that it will completely vanish, because obviously people have responsibility, but it will certainly decrease to a large extent.
If it's a sting operation done by Invalidate, like the Helka, what happened, and great, Bofors and everything came out. But now most of the news channels are owned by a political party. As Sir said, doing a sting operation then and demanding for money, a ransom, which has already happened a lot of times. What is your reaction upon that?
So first of all, thank you for putting forward that question. Now, operations such as sting operations that are said to be occurring in the world today, and about how media is believed to be covering it up and is clearly doing so, how is it that we do not question? How do we do not hold the media at stake? So what has to be clearly understood is that media at large is a global press. It's a very diversified source of information. Now, as I had clearly mentioned, I would like to reinstate my point once again about how it's said to be a two-sided coin. The media, yes, does present the people with information. Yes, it does show you what could be false, what could be right. But what should be considered also equally of important weightage, living in a democracy where you have the freedom and the rights to expression, rights to know what is right or wrong.
You made an initial assertion saying that media credibility is intact, and you justified that by citing fact-checking websites and how there's been progress made. So the very fact that there are fact-checking websites is a comment on the credibility of media, because it is the prerogative of the established media to ensure that non-partisan facts are prevailing in the system. So aren't you contradicting yourself here?
And these systems have come earlier enough to make sure that a lot of what is seen as garbage in the news is said to be reduced, or any social or any media platform in general is said to be reduced as you move day by day.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am A7, and corruption is a big issue in upcoming election. So, let me tell you why. Firstly and foremost, there was a journalist named as Rohini. She helped to expose the scam of Robert Vadra. She has also exposed a scam of Mr. Shah, a businessman. However, the scam of Mr. Shah was not publicized as much as Robert Vadra. Point number one. Point number two. An article in Wire accused none other than our own Amit Shah, in whose bank in the year 2016-17, when the demonetization happened, in 5 days after demonetization, a total sum of 750 crores was deposited. Point number three. The demonetization. Now, demonetization happened because of its own reasons. However, all the people who have analyzed the demonetization scene has only criticized about its implementation and its utility. Point number four. An RTI was filed regarding the name of the bank accounts in the Swiss bank, Swiss National Bank. And we came to know that the deposits in Swiss bank were low, getting lower and lower till 2017. And after that, it came to an hike after demonetization. All these factors point to one thing. Corruption still exists in our system. Corruption still makes its presence felt in our system. Also, I would like to point your attention towards the two very interesting scam or scandal which happened. The Nirav Modi scandal as well as the Vijay Mallya scandal. All these factors, when combined together, plus the CAG alleging the Modi government of 20,000 crores of fraud. When these factors combine together, plus one more, yes, there is more. The fact that electoral voting or electoral transfer is allowed for the companies who can fund the parties anonymously, and our own Yadurappa was caught giving bribes to other politicians. These facts point that corruption is an issue. Corruption is a major issue.
So my topic for the day will be how corruption is not affecting elections. So first I'd like to say a small quote. I've said this before, I'd like to say it again. It was said by John F. Kennedy on his speech. He said, "Ask not what thy country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." Everybody sitting here is literate. Everybody is open-minded. But the first thing we do at a site of problem, we name corruption. If it's unemployment, it's corruption. If it's a problem of Swachh Bharat, it's corruption. We have taken it easily saying that everything that is a problem is corruption. I know for a fact that corruption is a part of India, Indian politics, to be clean. But the fact states by CSDA, it's a body which makes all these statistics and many facts which come out. It says that in 2014 when the elections were going on, we had 13% of corruption in the country. Currently in 2019, we have about 6%. When the corruption is going down, how can we say that corruption is becoming a problem in elections? Out of the 31 problems that were stated in India, corruption is the 20th. That means 19 more problems are bigger than corruption. How can we again state that corruption is a problem that is affecting elections? In recent times, a survey was made. For the last elections, 66.38 people only voted. 34% of the people didn't vote. They had their votes and didn't use them. And if I tell you a frank statement, I've seen this by myself, the first people to vote are the people who are from rural backgrounds, the farmers, the illiterates, the narrow-minded people. The first thing they do in the morning is get up at 7 o'clock and go and vote. But the people who are well educated, who have high qualifications, who have good jobs, I don't mean this to the general public. I'm talking about a very select few. What they decide? Today is a holiday. It's election time. We'll go and enjoy. We'll go somewhere. Madikeri sounds really good. So that is what they do. I'm not talking about general public. Select few, and this is happening. It's about time that we blame corruption for everything that is happening in the country. In 2014, the elections which took place, many people had a doubt. Maybe there is something wrong happening here. Maybe the votes which we are giving are all going to one party. Supreme Court took this into their own hands. And they asked the Election Commission, please make sure that the people have a proof of whom they are voting for. So, the VVPAT was introduced. The VVPAT is a voter verification paper audit trail. I'll tell you what it does. It has a display. And when you put in your vote, for 7 seconds on that display, your name, your voter ID, and the party for whom you voted is displayed there. So you can see the vote is gone to whom. And after those 7 seconds, a chit falls which is printed with the data. Now this was done in 8 parliamentary constituencies in 2014 under the power of S.V. Qureshi. So they said, okay, it's a good idea. Let's take it ahead. Currently, under Shri Sunil Arora, who is the Chief Election Commissioner for the Election Commission, he's making sure right now in the masking and demasking centers that we have that this VVPAT system is also implemented. So how can we stand today and say that corruption exists? The other problem was, okay, these chits which are given stay with the government. What proof do we have? Friends, today we have 814.5 million voters. Highest voting ever. Biggest democracy ever. How do you expect these people to make these sudden changes as and when we require? They have given us the clarity, the crystal clear clarity of printing those chits. Because before what used to happen, we had written chits. ballot voting. Then they introduced the EVM machines, electronic voting machines. Everybody said those machines are haywire. Something is wrong. So they removed the VVPAT system. So I'd like to end with a small quote because it's time up. I'll say the best way to prepare for tomorrow is by doing your best today. So if today we are only blaming corruption for everything, that is not the best we can do. Get up, vote, and make sure the right people come in power.
The corruption as a concept, as an existence, has its roots in India. We have corruption, and you only said we have 6% of corruption. Why 6%? 6% is also a high number. Do you know that?
Absolutely.
Then why? Then how could you say that corruption is not a major factor or a factor influencing Lok Sabha election?
But Rahul, could you state me a fact? A true fact, a solid fact that says that the 6% corruption that is taking place, the 6% corruption is affecting elections. Could you state me a fact? And another thing that you said was there are many scams that are happening. And it is a little bit out of my understanding that how are these scams, state me a fact please, how are these scams affecting the election directly? A fact please.
These the money which is taken away, are of course will be used by politicians to fund their election. Do you know that during the time of demonetization, that year, what was the budget of BJP? The BJP budget was around more than 1,000 crores. Reported, by the way, unreported may be different. The budget for Congress is around 3,000 crores, 300 crores, 300 crores. And according to one census, if the budget of all the parties combined and doubled, then also it won't make the BJP budget. That was the budget of 2016 and 17. Then tell me one thing. The politicians are taking that money. They are going to use it in their election campaign. They are now legalized corruption. You know, electoral votes, they have legalized corruption.
Which is an utter waste of national time. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, so why?
Miss, I'd like to give an example in that case. We have exams in our colleges, right? But they make sure that the flying squad always comes in and checks what is going on. So, if nobody is cheating, why do we have these flying squads? Why do we need them? I hope I'm making sense. So, I'm sorry if I'm
You
not.
have just countered your own argument now.
Miss, please explain how.
Because I asked you, I said if there's no corruption in the forthcoming and
Absolutely,
there's no
absolutely.
exchange of
Yes, miss.
money or anything tangible, intangible,
Yes, miss.
tangible actually, why is it that we have these teams? I can understand a flying squad at polling centers. I can understand that. But why do we need this even before the election?
To make sure that something wrong is not happening. Absolutely, at no point, nobody is ever convinced that everything that somebody else is doing is true, clear, crystal clear. So to make sure, we always keep a backup plan. So if something wrong is happening, one team will go in and check. But that does not state the fact that everybody in the exam has chits. Everybody in the exam is cheating. Just because we have a surveillance team in our polling centers does not justify the fact that, oh, we have a team because corruption is happening, because something wrong is going to happen. It is making sure that nothing is happening wrong. It is a precautionary method. It is not that we are expecting something to go wrong and then we are sending a team. We are making sure that nothing is going wrong, is what I feel.
Tell me what is the topic?
Is corruption affecting the elections?
The corruption is a major issue in the forthcoming Lok Sabha elections. Now, I'm sorry to tell that there is absolutely no clarity as far as this practice is concerned. From my points of view, I too have my own points of view. Please try to differentiate between malpractice and corruption. You concentrate on being a malpractice which is happening because Qureshi and Sunil Arora, whatever if they install, it is not about the corruption, it is the malpractices that the voting system goes on a right one. If you say this corruption is not an issue, then so much of right is happening and cash just not yet finished. That so much of corruption is the cash is being seized. Don't you think this type of cashes will influence the voter where corruption is not an issue in this matter? I'm sorry, I beg to differ with you.
Sir, I'd like to put some light on the situation.
Now,
Sir,
like
as you said, sir, I'd like to say that, sir, you said malpractice, absolutely true. So malpractice works till the voting is happening. Once the voting has...
No, the corruption, how you connect it with the corruption?
Yes, sir, I'll get
yeah,
to the
please,
point.
please, fast.
So,
Make it fast.
after the votes have been put in, people believe that because corruption is taking place, the machines are tampered with. They are haywire because of corruption.
It is not because of corruption. It is because of the urge to victory.
So,
urge to
the
victory.
urge to victory can come...
I beg to differ. Yeah, finally.
Sir, the urge to victory can come only with power.
Yeah, only with the power.
Power comes with what?
May not be the corruption.
So, power with what?
Corruption cannot be connected with that. Yeah.
So, corruption is bribery. Corruption is scams.
Yeah.
So, money is coming. So, money gives you power. So, with that power, they feel that they are messing with the system.
Okay, congratulations. You have once again not been able to convince us. Sir, the demonetization, this one and all, but how do you connect that corruption, that particular aspect of your detailing? ES7, how do you connect with that, Amit Shah's, this one, with this election, Lok Sabha election, as far as corruption is concerned? Nothing has been proved, for your kind information. It is only reported in one of the publication, nothing else.
So we had an RTI file for the data I have just given about the cooperative society's 700 crores deposit, and you can check it out if you want. The next thing.
Nobody said it is Amit Shah's.
No, in the RTI it was declared, sir.
No, it is not declared as Amit Shah's. I'm sorry.
Okay, sir. That might be your lookout to it, but the RTI clearly states that Amit Shah's bank, Cooperative Bank of Ahmedabad, has 700 crores plus deposit in 5 days after the demonetization.
It didn't say it is Amit Shah's money. He was one of the director of that particular cooperative bank. Let me make your facts.
Sir,
just a minute, because there are so many depositors who will come there. It is not only Amit Shah's money. I go and put it in a cooperative bank under your this one is there. It is my money, it is not your money, and it cannot be considered as your money.
So then please explain how in 5 days, in just 5 days, lot of like 700 crores, the more than that, no cooperative society had done it. How? And if that is his bank, then it is his money, right? If you are having a house, if you are the owner of a house, whatever goes on in that house, you will be responsible, right?
Yeah, even if the theft happens, he is responsible. So
the theft happened.
So
your defense is weak. Your defense is weak. That's why you will be responsible, sir.
But only thing is, I'm really sorry that you completely deviated from the topic and stuck to the demonetization. You should have gone a larger issue. There are two issues here. Corruption, a major issue in the forthcoming Lok Sabha election. 2 points over there. One, the corruption is happening in the election. Secondarily, corruption is one of the issues among the many issues like unemployment and other things. So 2 points over there. You could have debated about the both. Unfortunately, you stuck on to the election part of it, not the other part of it. Corruption. So I already asked a question to you, so I'll ask a question to you all. As sir said, there are, you know about NGO called as Election Watch?
I haven't read about it.
There is democratic reform, so many things are there.
Okay, sir.
Recently, Supreme Court has given a verdict saying that anybody who has a serious criminal offence should publish what criminal offence they've done, both them and their party, within 3 days of them, filing it was published in Hindu itself recently. So that they have to publish what kind of assets they have, how did they gain their assets, affidavit, everything. So when they found out, the National Democratic Watch, when the Election Watch, they found out that almost 95% of the people who are contesting elections from the major party are millionaires, are crorepattis, okay? Why can't a common man like me and you contest an election when you say that there is no corruption at all? Anybody can contest.
So now if you say the same fact like that why can't you and I as a common man contest elections?
Without money. I'll forget about the common man, without money, without no money.
So there are many aspects in which you can gain the money. Now it need not be corruption money that has come to you, need not be scam money which has come to you. If I am a well-established businessman, why can't I have money to do the good for the community?
Okay, then you tell me I'm a businessman, I want to have a gain of 400% in 4 years. 400%
in what field?
Gain in 4 years.
In what field?
Any field. 400% in 4 years are the income growth rate of most of the politicians, MPs. You can check that. The details are given in the Election Watch by an NGO. 400%, 300%, 200% gain in 4 years. Any business won't give you that return. If you say that corruption is redundant in our
So then you have to be specific. If you say Infosys, for example, I remember that. I'll tell you why I'm stating Infosys. Because I am not sure about what politician you are speaking about. And this is the argument that I have. If you see the Infosys, when they had their share, when they started their share,
I'll give you a name itself.
They said that, so sir, I am also naming Infosys. 1 second, sir. So they said the paper which is printed for the Infosys share is valued more than the share itself. But after a few years, I guess less than 3 or 4 years, 3.5 years, the stock exchange of Infosys went so high that it was a wonder how things went up.
I'd like to give you an empirical evidence. So you have the corruption perception index, the global corruption perception index. India ranks a dismal 78. So isn't it empirically contradictory to your assertion that it is not an important issue in the upcoming election? Because this is 2017-18 data.
Absolutely. But then am I not supposed to fight against it? If I take in all the points that I'm making sure, now see the data which I have is from CSDA says that no, the corruption in India has gone down. It might rank, whichever rank you can, 78%, no doubt. But then the data which I have collected says that the corruption has gone down from 13 to 6. It's from CSDA itself, the government body which makes those statistics.
ಬ್ರೇಕ್ನ ಬಳಿಕ ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭ ಆಳ್ವಾಸ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನ ಪ್ರಾಂಶುಪಾಲರಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕುರಿಯನ್, ದಿ ಹಿಂದೂ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಡೆಪ್ಯೂಟಿ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಎಂಜೆ ಮ್ಯಾಥ್ಯೂ, ಮಾಧವ ಎಂಎಸ್ ಮತ್ತಿತರರು ಉಪಸ್ಥಿತರಿದ್ದರು.
Memento to our judges for the final round.
I think our primetime debaters can actually take a cue from our winners on how to conduct themselves when they are debating and deliberating during our primetime deliberations. Having said that, let me also add that if there was one thing that is an area of improvement, it would have been beginning on time. I was told that you were going to start at 2:30, but you began 50 minutes late. And one of the critical areas of public speaking is time. So you begin on time, you finish on time, and a speaker, if he's allotted time, he needs to finish within that time. But since Alvaz is always on the road of improvement, I'm sure the next time you're going to begin on time. Thank you so much. And congratulations to all the winners. It was a pleasure listening to you.
Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. Good evening, one and all. I, Disha Bhatt, deem it my pleasure to be the MC for the valedictory of today's event, The Last Man's Stand. The intercollegiate zonal level event indeed provided participants with a memorable learning experience. On behalf of the Hindu and the Alvas Rostrum, I would like to extend a hearty welcome to each and everyone gathered here. I would also extend a hearty welcome to Matthew sir and Mr. Meher, who have been a part of the event since morning. Welcome you, sir. Now, it's time to lend our ears to the chief guest.
Mr. Vivek Alva on the dais, the Hindu group, the general manager, Mr. Matthew, and all colleagues over here, the judges, the participants, the winners. This is the third time I'm over for this function. Well, I have a great respect for the Hindu, and Hindu has always been vocal, even in the recent times, for whatever reasons. And today I was just talking to the general manager. I don't get your name. Mahel. So I was thinking really, that should I be frank or should I be a corporate man, Because I kick-started as a student leader. I kick-started as a student leader. So I was the president of St. Aloysius, president of the PG Students Union of the Mangalore University, president of the All College Students Union of VTU, and then Rajiv Gandhi Health Sciences and the Mangalore University. Those days it was 3 districts. So I remember I closed the whole district. I took 40,000 students, which I was just telling the general manager. Bharatulal Meena was the DC those days, and we had got to give a memorandum. I was on the opposite side. Now I am on the other side. So the DC was not willing to take a memorandum. He went to a far village in Sulya. And I remember the headquarters, assistant headquarters DC was Lobo, the former MLA of Mangalore. And we felt very bad because we felt that we are from the higher seat of learning. And the SP almost ordered to shoot, or that he would fire. So I said, one drop of blood on the ground, you will have it. So I remember, and the DC was not there, we went, we locked the DC chamber. The DC is the district magistrate. It's a very powerful thing, it's a judicial post, So I remember the press. There were media persons, and one of the media persons, in fact, tried to click a picture when I was locking the DC chamber. So I caught out of the camera, exposed the photograph, and we blew off the camera, in fact. I'm not saying that everyone should be doing that. Those days were different. Those days, we used to not get into debates. We used to just do, we find what is just we should do. Before we used to go by a bus, we even for a hike of 10 paisa, we used to, ponder for it in a big way. But still, things have to really happen in a bigger way. And we all should be aware of it. We have to fight for it. And also, this debate competition should be ever there in Alva's campus. Saying this, I wish all the winners all success. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir. I request Mr. Vivek Alva to give the chief guest a memento as a token of love.
A very good evening to you all. Last year the numbers were even higher. I do apologize for the delay in holding this program, as well as for the 15-minute delay also. I'll definitely, we'll have to work on this. As a team, this should be a priority, because in Alvas we always start on time, end on time. This has always been the core fundamental we always work in programs in. So dear team, as well as we should all see through that it should be done on time. Anyways, I'm a great fan of this debate program. I still remember 3 years back when Hindu approached us for this program, and though ideologically we may not be together, but still nothing wrong in coming out with programs for the benefit of the students. Definitely the same thing, even as Kishore Anna rightly put across. Hindu is a paper with stuff. I see a lot of papers, I'll not name it because your cameras are on. If you see the editorials, there is a lot of content in it. Dear students, my only request to you all is, even though not all their columnists I will support, but definitely, at least there is columnists in this paper. In many papers, that itself is not there. In this today's world, I'll not say you're lucky bunch. I'll say little unlucky, because right now we see so much vested interest, you don't understand where the news is coming from. So my dear friends, please be very careful in it, because there is a lot of vested interest trying to mold your mind into various different things. And this is what shouldn't happen. Why am I putting this across is platforms like Rostrum, a lot of student-driven platforms, I've seen good learning happen. And this should be a target. In today's program, our main priority has not been to organize this, not been to anything. Our intention was to see through that learning can be brought, views can be brought up, various different people from all walks of life come. I see a medical practitioner, I also see a person doing his MBA, also there are people from engineering, degree, and from all walks of life when students come, multiple thinkings can come together. So this is the interest. Rostrum has been done with that interest itself. I'm happy that from AIT Chikmagalur, where's that boy, Gowda, what's his name? Samarth Gowda, yeah. So Samarth told me like last year he had visited this platform and he was impressed with the fact that, okay, there is a speakers club existing in campus. I was so happy when he told me that, okay, he started in AIT Chikmagalur also, he started a platform like this. And this was our interest because it should not be just in Alvas. I would want these platforms to be there everywhere.
ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಮುಂದುವರಿಯುತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ನ ಬಳಿಕ. ಬ್ರೇಕ್ನ ಬಳಿಕ ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಿನಾಲಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿಗಳನ್ನು ಬಾಚಿಕೊಂಡ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳೆಂದರೆ ಸಮರ್ಥ್ ಗೌಡ ಎಐಟಿ ಚಿಕ್ಕಮಗಳೂರು ತೃತೀಯ, ಅಲ್ವಿನ್ ಥಾಮಸ್ ಎನ್ ಎಂಐಟಿ ನಿಟ್ಟೆ ದ್ವಿತೀಯ, ಅಲಿವಾ ಮಿಶಾ ಕೆಎಸ್ ಹೆಗ್ಡೆ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜು ಮಂಗಳೂರು ಪ್ರಥಮ ಬಹುಮಾನವನ್ನ ಬಾಚಿಕೊಂಡು ಉತ್ತಮ ಚರ್ಚಾ ಸ್ಪರ್ಧಿಗಳು ಎಂಬ ಹೆಗ್ಗಳಿಕೆಗೆ ಪಾತ್ರರಾದರು.
I'm sure there is much more than that world there out there than politics. This man was an all college union president. He could have also gone in the way of politics itself, but still he went on developing himself and look where is he right now. So this platform is done with the interest that there can be learning that can brought into this. I request all the colleges to see through that many more platforms like this are done. You must have seen our entire journey, what we have gone, what kind of speakers have come. I'm sure this can be done in the campuses also. I thank Hindu for being a very integral part. Our aim this year was to make a South India program, but eventually our time was lesser, but I still have a person from I can slowly say like, okay, one international guy also is there over there. But still our interest was to see through that to make a South India program. Next year our team should achieve this target because this was a target what we kept for last year and we already made a state level, and we request that more planning should happen much earlier. Even Hindu as well as us, we have to plan much earlier. I'm sure that good program can come out of this. So anyways, people from Rostrum, students who have come from all different colleges, thanks for supporting this program. Let us see through that next year it becomes even more larger. Next time Kishoranna doesn't have to come to this hall, he has to go to Nudisiri hall, which can accommodate almost like 10,000 people. So I wish you all the best for your coming days.
Thank you Alvas Group of Institution to providing this opportunity, and also Hindu newspaper, and also the dignitaries present on the dais, although the student from various different colleges. Thank you for this opportunity. Yesterday I attended different events in Mangaluru like Vivekananda College, as well as today I attended another college. It was almost like a Mangaluru trip for me. What's going on? A day before yesterday, I took a flight from US all the way to attend this event. I finished 3 universities in US. One is Georgia Tech University, another one is Stanford University, and I'm finally here. It doesn't make any difference whether you given a class in Stanford, Harvard, or else a Cambridge, or else some other greatest institution, or else some kind of small government college in Bengaluru, or else some other parts in Karnataka. It's almost the same. The students are same. The way of thinking of those students are same. What the difference that makes that skill that they have, the kind of skill they pursue when they are developing, the kind of possessiveness and the passion they have, that's going to make some difference in their life. I am a very small boy, like even today I am learning, tomorrow also I am learning, and I came here to learn something from you guys, not to showcase my knowledge or some other things. And then my father is a farmer, my mother is also a farmer. My family can't able to earn 300 rupees per month also when I'm so small. But today I had got a job offer from 7 countries to work there based upon the research that I have done, and also the job offering not from the small companies. The company is called Boeing Aviation. I also worked for Airbus Space and Technologies as a chief scientist for 1 year. There were 70 scientists are working under me. They are like it includes a 90 years aged scientist and other kind of things. But it doesn't make any difference. If any guy doing namaz, that makes me feel good. We are all one. We are all humankind. Whether they are from any region, any part, we all share the common love. We can't able to help them, but we can able to love them. That's we can able to do. Please love everybody. We can share the love. That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The day began with an ambience of participating and competing. As our principal rightly said, debate is all about agreeing to disagree and disagreeing to agree. I hope each one of you have depicted your best through this platform. Winning and losing is the minor aspect of the competitions, wherein improving individual performance remains the major. I request Mr. Vivek Alva to read out and give away the prizes.
So let me start with the third prize. Any guesses? G4 Samarth Gowda, AIT Chikmagalur. This boy came last year. He came to the final round. This year he's come third in this competition. I congratulate you, Mr. Samarth. Second place goes to... Why you don't want first prize? So why not first? D7 Alvin Thomas, NMIT Nitay.
ಆಳ್ವಾಸ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ರೋಸ್ಟ್ರೋಮ್ ಸಹಯೋಗದೊಂದಿಗೆ ಕಾಲೇಜು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮೆನ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟರ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಝೋನಲ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಡಿಬೇಟ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಧೆಯು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಅನುಕೂಲವನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿತ್ತು. ವಿಷಯದ ಆಳವನ್ನ ತಿಳಿಯಲು ಈ ಸ್ಪರ್ಧೆಯು ಉಪಯುಕ್ತವಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಇದು ಈ ಹೊತ್ತಿನ ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ. ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದೊಂದಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಭೇಟಿಯಾಗ್ತೀನಿ. ನಿರಂತರ ಸುದ್ದಿ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಮನೋರಂಜನೆಗಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರಿ ವಿ4 ನ್ಯೂಸ್. ಮುನ್ನುಡಿ ಮುನ್ನಡೆಗಾಗಿ.